because Trump, is really the authentic incarnation of what America really is.
The authentic incarnation of
What it
America's id.
like, yeah, of America's it, like unrestrained, right?
Exactly.
He just embodies that, like in a kind of narco corrupt corporate state. Trump is that. He's just masked off about it, and people will, not everyone, of course, but like a lot of people will prefer the guy who's at least honest about it, right? The a guy who's honest about kind of his like finesse, the fact that he's a ultimate finesser. He's really not the first person to do this. I mean, the guy who really wrote the Donald Trump playbook is Silvio Berlusconi, the guy in Italy who was elected 4 times. May I add? He was elected in the late
Italy's
90s.
FDR, folks.
Italy. Well,
he was
Trump.
80 and having sex with 17-year-olds.
Oh yeah, this guy got away with, like, if you think Trump scandals are bad, Silvio Berlusconi is just like, oh my god, endless material there. Like this guy has been caught in scandal after
But he
scandal.
also
He was
owned a media company.
a media company. He owned AC Milan, the soccer team, football team for those Europeans listening. And yeah, Silvio Berlusconi was literally caught in a fucking orgy, and one of the girls was underage, and his response after getting caught was, "Well, at least I'm not gay." Like, and he
But that's
still
what I
won.
mean. That's exactly what
won.
like like the most overplayed anecdote of Donald Trump is when he said, hey, if I shot someone on Fifth Avenue, I wouldn't lose any voters. And the answer to that, like a lot of people say that as like a signal of his authoritarianism. And I say that as a signal of immense understanding of who his supporters are. And that to me is what Democrats look at that and go, see, look what he says, he could shoot someone. And Republicans look at that and be like, he could shoot someone. They both the Republicans like that, and there's not enough, as I said, hall monitors in America's society to win an election just by saying that guy's breaking the rules. Don't vote for him, he'll break the rules. That guy is much more likely to win than somebody who says I'll enforce them even better. Like that, that Democratic Party energy. Call that cringe, call that, as I say, teacher's pet energy. It's just never been who America is.
Well, this is where I would disagree. Like, I think, like, America has definitely gone through like different cycles. And
Oh, yeah.
I think,
Fair
like,
enough.
for example, like there was like a long period where the more presidential, like pro liberty, but also kind of exceptionalist suit and tie, formal way of talking, ranging all the way from Roosevelt to before that to, Woodrow Wilson was a
Oh,
very
yeah. Okay. Yeah.
charismatic
Yeah.
professional.
Early
Like,
20th century, for sure.
yeah, that only really like, and I mean, even Obama, right? He's kind of like this, resembles that figure too. Like, there's that side of America, but Trump resembles that side of other side of America, the kind of ugly underground reality, the underworld.
I think
Right.
Obama is the person, like, just to talk about Obama for a second, he was the sexy professor. He wasn't just the professor, right? He was the sexy professor. He was the professor that the co-eds had a crush on, right? Like, and that energy is attractive both to, like women, found him charismatic and attractive, but men were also kind of wanted to be his friend. Like it was, he did well with white men. He won Indiana, he won Iowa, so he won North Carolina. Like Obama was,
Won Florida.
He won Florida, of course. And like so like there was that, but he had that spin, on the trope. It wasn't just, whereas like Kamala Harris, like Rizless, robotic, scared of her own shadow, laughing before anybody told a joke, just kind of like an uncomfortable person who was fake and had that, we all politicians in a certain sense are sociopaths, but her eyes had just this way of flashing that you knew she was never going to be honest with you. And it was just like, one of the things that I always remember is when she got picked as Biden's VP and they were like, you called Joe Biden a racist for opposing busing that you and your sister got to, and she was like, it was just, and she started laughing and it was like,
yeah.
That's a sociopathic response to that question. What are you fucking talking about?
I mean, yeah, that's a perfect encapsulation of like the difference between her and Clinton and Biden, because like Biden, I think, is less cringe because he can't be smart enough to be a sociopath. You know what I mean? Like
There,
Biden just Biden is literally like Bush. You know, Bush is a guy you would have a beer with, and you probably wouldn't
he was the
trust
bottom
running.
of his class at law school. He got caught plagiarizing some labor politician's speeches. Like Biden is the guy in your frat who only managed to graduate because he paid someone else to finish his term papers. Like, yeah, no, of course. And that
All
enters,
men
but
are created
people,
equal. You know the thing.
yeah.
Like, it reminds me of the fool me once, shame on you.
Well, yeah,
But fool
no,
me,
I
you
mean,
can't get fooled again.
I think it all goes, all those like politicians, because we're having fun just talking about electoral politics in the sense of like talking about these brands in a way that is comprehensible to people that are not leftist. But like when we're talking about like George W. Bush, we classically say the guy I want to have a beer with because he seems fun and he seems like somebody who is down to earth. You could have a conversation with. He obviously partied in his youth, which hopefully you did. If you didn't, you're only young once. And so there's that certain kind of just humanity, a kind of humanity. Clinton is the same way. Clinton,
Bill
having a
Clinton.
little bit of trouble with his weight. That's me. I'm entering middle age. I've got a little bit of a gut I've picked up over the years of
I
drinking.
smoked, but I didn't inhale.
He tried weed. Well, I didn't inhale. Wink. Like, yes, you did. Yes, you did. You inhaled, and then you had munchies, and you went to McDonald's, and then you got a little bit too grabby, and in the '90s that was considered to be that was a more sexist time. So the fact that he was sexually harassing people was normal. The fact that he had a normal heterosexual male libido in the times of the '90s, I'm not saying it's okay, was seen to be likable. The fact that he was kind of running around on Hillary made him more likely. Have you seen Hillary? I'd cheat on her too. That's what people would say at the time. And so that kind of like humanity, that likability, even though he's kind of breaking the rules and breaking convention, he was doing so in a way that exposed humanity and approachability and somebody that you might even, kind of parasocially see among your friend group. And then there are people that are the robotic machines, your Al Gores, your Dukakases, your Kamala Harris.
Yeah, I remember the Chris Rock joke where he was like, Newt Gingrich is like criticizing Bill Clinton for getting a blowjob, and he's like, "Ain't nobody want to blow you."
Exactly.
This is what Silvio Berlusconi actually responded to one of his critics. So, like, actually, it was the Pope. Yeah, so the Pope criticized Silvio Berlusconi, saying that he needs to change his ways, and that he needs to he's giving Italy a bad image and stuff. And he said, "I just do what most Italians wish they could do." Like, he basically just said it, and that's like, yeah, in many ways, like, he is a kind of incarnation of Italy's most like
Italy's
decadent
id.
tradition. Like Italy, like has a Roman like a tradition of orgies and sexual degeneracy, quote unquote.
And Italian men have machismo and they're constantly
Very
sexually aggressive.
Exactly. Yeah, Italian men have the
reputation
of the
of
most
it.
sexist in Europe.
Yeah.
You could say that. And yeah, like in America, there is that like Yankee chauvinism, right? Like that's kind of what Trump represents. Like there's always like both sides. I think it's not like America's not just like Trumpism. There's also that kind of, in many ways, America at one point was a country. At one point, America was a country people looked up to, right? Like there was that time America was like the place where the educated people would go to. It's also where like workers, had a good standard of living.
Upward mobility.
Upward mobility, yeah. So, there's both aspects of that. Trump represents the ugly aspect of that. And, you can't attack like this is not, to be expected. You're just delusional. Like